It's getting cold again. We got some new snow here in Innsbruck, some real winter vibes going on. Another thing that has happened is that a mobile game that I made the cinematic trailer for just recently launched and is now available on Netflix. Yes, you can play games through Netflix nowadays. I worked on the game Skies of Chaos, creating an animated trailer for it, as well as a ton of cutscenes that goes between the levels of the game. It's developed by my good friends Daniel Diggle and James Eaton. I have a link in the description that you can follow to play the game. Before we dive into the making of this trailer, let me introduce today's sponsor. For over 3 years now, I've been using Epidemic sound to give my YouTube videos the highest quality soundtracks. They have a huge library of music and sound effects that are constantly being updated. I can search by moods to get the right type of vibe, or through themes and albums if I search for something specific. And once I've found a track that I like to use in my videos, I can easily browse for similar music that Epidemic Sound recommends to me. If I like a very specific section of a track, I can use the ear function, which allows me to highlight that specific part and get very detailed with my search for similar music. Adding good music to my videos is a vital part of making them pleasant to watch. And with Epidemic Sound, I don't have to worry about being demonetized or getting flagged for copyright strikes, and I can monetize my videos with a peace of mind and still use the music that I really like. Now, if you're a content creator looking for licensed music and sound effects, then definitely check out Epidemic Sound. Make sure you follow the link in the description to get a free 30-day trial. Everything you post in that trial is also protected, even if you cancel. Now, big thanks to Epidemic Sound for sponsoring this segment. Now back to the video. In this video, I want to give you an overview of how this animated trailer that I made was created. Now, if you want to see the thing in its full glory with a soundtrack and some sound effects, then do check out the Skies of Chaos socials, which I've left a link to below. I don't dare to play it here on YouTube in case I don't own the rights to that music. So yeah, check that out if you want to see the full thing. Me and Daniel, the designer of the game, go back quite a while. When I started working in the industry back in 2011, we worked for the same company and we've been friends ever since. Now, his work speaks for itself. He's a fantastic designer and animator, so definitely check out his work that I will link to as well below. Him and James started their game studio a few years ago now, and Skies of Chaos was their first big project. They asked me if I could create an animated trailer for them that they could use as marketing content, but also in-game. And working for your friends is the best job you can ever have, so of course I was excited to be on board. Even better, I had pretty free hands to come up with and explore how this trailer would play out. Daniel had already started to create characters and assets for the game, and James had started to develop it, so I had a bunch of visual content to work with. The style of the game is very well crafted pixel art, mixed with some higher resolution assets. For the trailer, I wanted to take a slightly different approach and bring in a more three-dimensional style that could complement the more graphical style of the game. The game is played viewed from above, but for a cinematic trailer, it's fun if we put the camera down in the world with the characters and get that viewpoint as well. By doing that, I'm also not competing with the look of the game, and then I think it's cool to explore a slightly different style. If you know me, you know that I like to keep things looking 2D animated. But I'm also a huge advocate for mixing methods to allow me to create the type of content that I want. This trailer is full of 3D animation actually. It's just rendered in a stylized way to blend in well with painted and illustrated assets. Some bits in this trailer are fully 2D animated, some are purely 3D rendered, and some utilize a method where I first start in a 3D environment and then transfer this over to a pure 2D pipeline where the end result is fully drawn. Now, I did not have an unlimited budget nor unlimited time to get this trailer done, so I had to be clever with how I approached it to be able to create as much content as possible, but keeping in mind that I had to do it all on my own. So a good plan was needed. I pretty quickly roughed out a storyboard that the guys gave their green light to. Making sure I'm on the same page with the client early in a project can save me a lot of headache down the road. So a storyboard that I even made a quick edit out of made sure Daniel and James could see what I had in mind. At the time of creating this, all the characters of the game were not yet fully designed, so I worked with the ones that we had. I paired up each character with its own short airplane sequence, featuring different worlds that the game takes place in. We have this coastal ocean landscape, a stormy sky, and a boiling lava world featured in the trailer. There are more levels in the actual game, city levels, winter landscapes, and desert wastes, to name a few, so give the game a go if you want to see more of that. I also made 24 cutscenes that go between the different levels of the game, where I got to explore more of these worlds, but that is something I might cover in upcoming videos here or on Patreon. For the trailer, I began by modeling one of the airplanes in 3D to be able to build my scenes around that. I experimented with a look to get a simplified yet rich model that would work with my other illustrated elements. This was obviously based on the pixel art design Daniel supplied me with. I made a few different planes, so different pilots fly original aircrafts. I also created a big opponent airship that the villain of the game would fly. Having these 3D models gave me the chance to block out scenes and play with camera angles. As I mentioned before, some elements were completely hand-drawn. Drawing 2D effects on top of the 3D render is a really nice and fun workflow. The joy of seeing the edit come together as I work on it brings in a lot more motivation and energy for me. So it's important to ride that wave for as long as possible. Having pretty much complete freedom in terms of creativity on this project helped immensely. I mean, in that flow state, I can produce a ton more content than what I could if I had constant, client feedback coming in. Obviously, client feedback is a vital part of every collaboration, but having been given the trust and the time by my client in this case to explore and deliver something I, as a creator, believe in, has been a really wonderful work experience. Also, working with really well-designed environments and assets as reference to build my scenes on makes things a lot easier, as I don't have to design things from scratch, but rather just interpret and transfer one style to another. I could talk a lot more about this trailer and each individual shot that goes into it, and I will share more detailed tutorials and videos over on my Patreon page. If you want to see a video covering the process of creating these character portrait shots in more detail, you can then join me on Patreon through the link in the description. By doing that, you get access to a ton of animated related content, tutorials and breakdowns. It's a bit like its own animation course over there. We also have a Discord server with a lot of talented artists sharing their work and helping each other out. So if you want that and also support the channel, then join me there. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're new to this channel, then do subscribe to not miss any upcoming videos. Also, thanks to my Patreons for their support, and I hope you guys have a great day.